December 12, 2025, through fiber optic control and thermal vision, a Russian FPV drone operator struck Ukrainian troops as they dismounted from a Max Pro armored vehicle, precision and timing turning the landing into a fatal ambush. December 11, 2025, an FPV drone operator from the 25th Army located a Ukrainian soldier hiding by the roadside. A Russian FPV drone reached the Ukrainian trenches, producing a striking and intense sound. The soldier was unharmed and continued on his way. Footage shows a drone swarm overwhelming a tank model, proof that drone warfare is advancing faster than defenses, demanding new vehicle designs and reimagined armor concepts. In the direction of Konstantinivka, FPV drone operators neutralized another opposing supply vehicle. In the Krasnoyarsk direction, UAV operators from the Volunteer Corps attached to the Southern Group neutralized another enemy vehicle. Russian UAV operators targeted Ukrainian positions using Molia-2 kamikaze drones, with an FPV drone employed in the latest strike. Sumy direction. Ukrainian armed forces personnel were unloading equipment when they were disrupted by a Russian UAV team. As a result, the vehicle was disabled and rendered inoperable. An American Howitzer was discovered near the village of Zakatna. Following a series of engagements, the Howitzer was destroyed and rendered inoperable. Five Ukrainian infantrymen were moving rapidly along a dirt road when a Russian FPV drone struck the top of their vehicle. However, the drone's warhead failed to detonate. Ukrainian forces experienced a fortunate outcome in this instance, and the impact of the drone against the vehicle can be clearly heard. Dimitrov's liberation continues under the leadership of the 51st Army. Advancing units pressed deeper into the city, securing block after block with steady determination. During the sweep, 12 Ukrainian soldiers were discovered leaving the building where they had been hiding, seeking refuge in another structure nearby. Russian forces called upon them to surrender, offering a chance to lay down arms. Yet the Ukrainian fighters refused, choosing instead to remain entrenched. The refusal underscored the intensity of the struggle, as Russian reporting framed the moment as evidence of both the enemy's desperation and the 51st Army's persistence. The footage highlights the discipline of Russian troops, maintaining pressure while continuing the methodical liberation of Dimitrov. Each encounter adds to the narrative of control and consolidation, reinforcing the image of Russian strength in contested urban terrain. Russian air forces then destroyed the building with FAB bombs. In the Kharkov region, Russian units report the destruction of Ukrainian M113 and Bat-T-type vehicles during ongoing frontline engagements, reflecting continued pressure on Ukrainian armored assets. November 29, 2025, a vulnerable elderly man, reportedly forced into frontline service, was left exposed during a tense moment on the battlefield. As a Russian drone approached his position, he was unable to take cover or defend himself. The incident highlights the growing concerns about the use of untrained and physically unfit individuals in active combat zones, raising serious humanitarian and ethical questions. November 28, 2025, Russian UAV operators destroyed a Ukrainian armed forces vehicle near Konstantinivka. The grid armor offered no protection. Several FPV UAVs targeted the area, and now a Hummer is burning in the forest. Reconnaissance units identified a concentrated armored group in Kupiansk-Kozlovoy, equipped with NATO-supplied vehicles undergoing repairs and reinforcement measures against drone threats. Once the location was confirmed, the armored vehicles were engaged and disabled by KVN drones operating via fiber optic control links. work of the drone operators from the 16th Special Forces Brigade. The footage shows the disabling of a 120mm mortar and the destruction of a concealed enemy firing position on the Krasny-Lyman axis. More updates to come. Their operations continue with confidence in achieving their objectives. From the Trilene, a Russian FPV drone lay in wait, scanning the terrain with silent precision. Moments later, it identified an opposing soldier moving on an ATV, exposing the target to the operator's control. The footage underscores the patience and effectiveness of Russian drone tactics, turning concealment into a decisive advantage on the battlefield. The Ukrainian soldiers had no time to understand what was unfolding. On the Eastern Front, the brave unit continued operations around the encircled city of Migrad, advancing methodically block by block. Footage released by Russian sources shows armored vehicles and infantry operating in close coordination, moving against fortified positions and reducing remaining points of resistance. Smoke is visible over damaged structures, reflecting the intensity of fighting and the sustained pace of the advance. At the same time, Russian forces extended activity into the Dnipropetrovsk region, broadening the axis of operations. Reports highlight a controlled and deliberate tempo, combining reconnaissance, artillery support, and infantry movement to maintain pressure across several sectors. These actions are presented as part of a wider effort to consolidate control, with the encirclement of Migrad described as a notable stage in the ongoing campaign. A Russian fiber-optic drone encountered a Ukrainian soldier while conducting reconnaissance in free mode. The pursuit was brief, demonstrating the speed and responsiveness of modern drone operations on the battlefield. While the Ukrainians think about capitulation, our operators continue to dismantle their positions and strike at their occupants. The footage, published via the reference channel, underscores the persistence and effectiveness of Russian units in maintaining pressure on the battlefield. On the Kupiansk direction, Russian units struck with precision, destroying a pickup truck carrying Ukrainian servicemen. The vehicle was reduced to wreckage in seconds, its live forces eliminated, underscoring the vulnerability of enemy transport under constant aerial surveillance and the relentless pressure of Russian firepower. Kyiv region, Pechanahai Reservoir. A Russian UAV operator launches a drone to conduct a search and identifies a boat moving across the water. The UAV begins its attack route, but at the last moment the operator realizes the boat is carrying not military personnel, but civilian fishermen signaling frantically. The UAV disengages and withdraws, and the fishermen express clear relief. Daily life in wartime conditions. December 12, 2025, in Pokrovsk, a symbolic moment unfolded as Russian television anchorman Vladimir Solovyev raised the Russian flag over the city. The footage, released by Russian media, portrayed the act as more than ceremony. It was framed as a declaration of control and a message of permanence. Solovyev, a familiar face to domestic audiences, stood as both journalist and participant, embodying the narrative of national pride and victory. The raising of the flag was presented as a milestone in Russia's campaign, marking Pokrovsk not simply as captured territory, but as a place now under the banner of the Federation. Russian reporting emphasized the emotional weight of the gesture, portraying it as a unifying symbol for supporters and a demonstration of resolve to opponents. The imagery of the flag against the backdrop of the city reinforced the narrative of consolidation, discipline, and forward momentum. For Russian audiences, the event carried a dual resonance. The presence of a prominent media figure lent credibility and visibility, while the act itself underscored the broader message of triumph. For critics, it was a reminder of the propaganda dimension of war, where symbols and personalities are wielded alongside weapons. In either case, the raising of the flag in Pokrovsk was framed as a defining moment, a visual assertion of Russian strength and permanence in the contested region. A joint operation conducted by the Southern Group's artillery and drone operators resulted in the neutralization of an enemy temporary staging area in the direction of Constantine. The structure where Ukrainian personnel were positioned was destroyed before they could relocate to other buildings. On the Kupiansk axis, Russian reporting states that a fiber-optic guided drone identified and struck a Ukrainian Tu-S-1 self-propelled howitzer near Monica. The precision attack demonstrated the growing use of tethered and controlled link UAVs, allowing operators to maintain stable guidance and deliver accurate fire against concealed artillery positions. Russian aviation carried out a focused strike near Mykolaiv, where 4 FAB series bombs were released in a coordinated run, hitting Ukrainian defensive positions and disrupting activity along this sector of the front. As a result, Su-34 fighter jets were deployed to target these positions. Buildings across multiple sections of the front were destroyed or heavily damaged. Subscribe to the channel and leave a like. In the Kharkiv region, Russian UAV operators reported locating and disabling a Ukrainian armed forces robotic platform, using coordinated drone strikes to neutralize the system and limit its activity along this sector of the front. In the Russian border zone, crews of the Mi-28M attack helicopter carried out a precision strike, launching guided missiles against 2 Ukrainian armed forces armored vehicles, including a Viker-class target. The coordinated attack demonstrated the helicopter unit's ability to identify, track, and neutralize moving threats under frontline conditions. The 336 Guards Brigade advances through Novat under enemy resistance. A group of soldiers from the 336 Guards Motor Rifle Brigade is moving through the Novat area in the southern sector of the Doral salient. The footage shows Russian troops advancing in coordinated formations, maintaining constant communication to ensure steady progress. Along their route, Ukrainian forces attempt to resist and engage the advancing units, but the Russian troops continue pushing forward, maintaining momentum despite opposition. The operation demonstrates disciplined movement, situational awareness, and the 336 Guards Brigade's capability to advance under fire.